To prepare the tripod for use, first remove the strap from the lower end of the tripod and put it where you can find it at a later time. Then pull the hairpin clip out of the adjustment pin and extend the leg to the full length, and you'll notice that there are letters on the side of the leg. That letter should be directly below the upper tube when you insert the pin. Then all you have to do is rotate the lower tube and the pin will go in without having to look at each hole in order to put the pins in. Notice that I rotate the tripod so that the label on the leg is to the top on each leg. That would be the center leg. This makes it very easy to see the letters on the leg, and it makes it easy to insert the pin. If you don't rotate it, then you're working against yourself. Take the rescue hauler from the bag and attach it to one anchor on the tripod. After inserting the carabiner through the anchor hole, tighten the lock nut on the carabiner in a manner to where the nut moves downward as you tighten it. Then one person can lift the head end of the stretcher while another person keeps that center leg from dragging on the ground when you try to tip the tripod up. Then you can pull the legs out to their full extension. At that point, the feet on the tripod will be approximately 8 feet apart. Reach up and take the lower carabiner that's attached to the lower pulley, pull it down where you can handle it, and lower the pulley down to the point where the victim is going to be placed onto this tripod. To collapse this tripod and have it ready for the next use, using 2 men as we are right now, just lay the tripod down, have the legs fairly close together, remove the rescue hauler, and then just do the reverse of what you did when you extended the legs. Pull the pin out of the leg that's in the center and move the leg all the way into hole L, which is the lowest on the leg. And once again, you can tell the holes are lined up because the letter on the outside of the leg, the letter L, would be just below the upper tube. Then you rotate it a little bit and the pin goes right in, and then you put your hairpin key in into the pin so that it won't come out. Always work on the center leg because you can always see the letters. They're right on top. It's quicker to do it with one person the way it's shown here right now than it is to have 2 or 3 people trying to put the pins in at the same time. One person can do this job more efficiently and easier. Then turn the feet to the point where the pointed end of the feet would point upward towards the head of the tripod. Put the feet together and then place the strap around the lower leg on all 3 legs, and this will secure the tripod, and the tripod or the strap will not slide up on the tripod, making it difficult to carry because the legs could spread out if the strap moves upward. And hold the strap by the upper leg and then pull on it, and it gets it nice and tight. An alternate method would be to use 3 people to raise the tripod, 1 on each leg. So you set it up at the lowest point, you can move it over close to the area that you're going to be working, and then attach the rescue hauler and pull the lower pulley down to where you can reach it before raising the tripod up to its maximum height, which would be 10 feet at the anchors. One person on each leg will pull the pin out of the legs, and together they'll lift the tripod up to the desired height. Be sure that everybody is at the same letter on the tripod so that the tripod will be level. Reinsert the pin and put the key into the pin so it can't come out. Spread the legs to the maximum, where they're approximately 8 feet apart, and the tripod is ready for use, except for the chain. Now, before you use the tripod, you must have the chain around the bottom. It will pass through the holes on the sides of the feet as shown here. There are 2 holes in each foot on the sides. Pass the chain through both of the holes on all 3 legs. And then you fasten the chain ends together with the screw link that's supplied. At that point, you pull the legs out to as far as they'll go, which will tighten the chain. And you must remember, when you're pulling down on the tripod or when you are pulling out on the load must remain inside the triangle made by the chain. If you bring the tripod or the load out past the chain, it could possibly collapse the tripod. All tripods will do this. I'll demonstrate that now. So now we'll pull the leg back out where it belongs, and all pulling will be vertical and inside the triangle. To deploy the sked, as the instructions on the sked says, remove the retainer strap and put it where you can find it later, because you must have this strap to keep the stretcher rolled up. Otherwise, it comes undone inside the bag and is very difficult to get out the next time you use it. Now remember that plastics have a memory. They're like a spring. They want to roll back up after you unroll them. So to solve this problem, reach down underneath the roll, lift up on it until the roll is out to the full length, then reverse roll the head end, and if you're short, walk up on a stretcher and take up a little, make it a little shorter, and hold the stretcher as high as you can, 1 foot on the stretcher, 1 foot out to the side, reach around the stretcher and fold it over your arm, and then reverse roll it against your body. This will make it lay flat. Do the same thing on the foot end of the stretcher, and you will not have to struggle with the stretcher anymore. The patient can be rolled or dragged onto the stretcher, and then to get him to the point where you want him, pull him down to where the upper chest strap goes across the upper chest, and this will have him in the right position in the stretcher, and this will keep it from being too top heavy. At that point, I like to lift the sides of the stretcher, kneel down next to it, so if we have a violent patient, I have a small barrier between us, which could help a little bit to protect me from any swinging that he would do with his fists or his legs. And when you fasten the straps, push on the plastic and pull on the strap. If you're on the side away from the buckles, that makes it very easy to adjust. After the strap is tightened as far as you want it, be sure and tuck it inside the stretcher so you don't step on it when you're trying to carry the stretcher. It's very important, because if you trip and fall, your patient could get injured, and so can you. To secure the foot end, pull it up and put your foot behind it, and that holds it in position when you're trying to fasten the lower foot end straps. Bring the foot end strap from the inside of the stretcher outward through the lower unused grommet, then back to the buckle that's on the strap right at the foot end. And adjust it just like you would the others. Notice the space below the patient's heels. If you lift him in that position with his feet on the leading edge of the stretcher, that could cause a lot of discomfort on the back of the leg, because his heels would sink down into the stretcher and it would be very uncomfortable, sometimes painful. Loosen the foot end straps and pull the foot end down so that you'll have some room below the feet. Take all of the equipment that you don't need on the rescue and place it inside the bag. Put the lid down inside the bag and roll the bag up with the straps on the inside. This way you don't lose anything. You take it all with you when the patient is raised up out of the hole. Place the bag below the patient's heels. At that time, tighten the straps, and the patient has a solid surface to stand on, and this will prevent any pain behind his legs, and it'll take all the equipment with you so you don't lose anything. Normally when we rig this stretcher for a vertical lift, we'll start the rope through the top end of the sked, and that is done if you have enough room for one or two people to stand the sked up on the ends and you can do the lifting. In this case, we'll simulate that there isn't enough room for two people to get in there, and you don't have room to stand the thing up by yourself. So what we'll do is we'll pass the rope through the grommets in the shoulder area, and we'll pull it down to where the knot is level with the top end of the sked. Just lay it over the top end, make sure that it's in the center, then pass the rope down through the handles, through the two grommets in the waist area or by the thighs, pull it snug so you don't have any possibility of losing the position of the knot. Then you pass the rope through the handles again, through both loops on the handles, then inside the stretcher, And down next to the feet, by the patient's heels, there's another grommet at the bottom. You pass the rope outward through the grommet. After both ropes are rigged in this manner, we'll tie the ropes in a square knot. Be sure the rope is underneath the stretcher. So you tie your square knot, and all this does is bring the ends of the rope together so there's a sling for the patient to stand in. At that point, you insert the rope through the carrying handles from the outside inward. Be sure the rope comes up next to the feet, over the foot end of the stretcher. And at that point, you tie another square knot. But in this case, it has to be safetied off with the overhand knot on each end. Or if you make a mistake and tie a half hitch accidentally, tie 2 half hitches. In this case, we're tying a square knot now. And I will purposely tie a half hitch on the other side. If you do that, tie a second one, because we don't want to have any chance that anything could slip and side load that knot. I would put my life on that knot any time. An alternate knot would be a double fisherman's, which we won't show here. Okay, I've secured it to an overhand knot now, which is the better way to go. We'll simulate that we're in the confined space. So what Andy's going to do, he's going to slide the stretcher over underneath the hole. The pulley will be down at the level we need it to be in. The carabiner at the bottom of the end of the pulley will be clipped into the lifting bridle of the sked. And you must be sure that the straps on the sked are secure enough or tight enough around the patient that when you lift it, it doesn't collapse the sked. You'll notice when you lift it now, the sked will not collapse. It'll work very, very nicely. And you raise your patient. Notice how I'm using my arms to pull the rope. There's a better method. I'll show you that now. We take the rescue stirrup that has the ascender attached to it, clip the ascender onto the rope, take the short end of the rescue stirrup and clip it into the D-ring on your harness, and this will protect you in case you happen to fall. It'll keep you from falling to your death. Place your foot into one of the loops on the rescue stirrup and use your leg muscles to pull and raise the ascender with your hand, and this will make it very easy to lift the stretcher. We'll show that a little bit better here in just a couple of seconds. Okay, we're bringing him up out of the hole, and notice I have my foot in the stirrup and my hand on the ascender. Once again, I clip the short end into my harness for my protection. Now I can use my leg muscles and pull down on the stretcher or on the rope, and the stretcher will come up, and this gives us a nice straight pull, and it prevents us from going outside the triangle of the chain and makes it much easier for everybody. Once the stretcher is out of the hole, I want to make it safer to operate around that area. When nobody is down in the hole anymore, we'll put the cover back on the hole to prevent somebody from falling in accidentally. And I'll do that. If the patient is very urgent, we would probably not take the time to cover the hole, but if it is not critical as far as time is concerned, take the time to cover the hole. It just makes it safer for you. Now, lift the stretcher and pull it out towards the edge of the triangle, and we'll lower the stretcher to where the patient can be laying on the ground. Once we have it lower, we can pull the foot end of the stretcher outside the chain, because the most of the weight of the patient is in the chest area, and if we are very careful, we can lower this down and never cause any tipping of the tripod. And before you pull on the cord to release the cam, pull down on the rope on the ascender, then pull the cord, and that releases the teeth from the rope. Otherwise, you'll damage your rope. Lower it down to where you can get the carabiner loose. Disconnect it. At that point, we're going to free up the handle end of the drag strap so that we can use it, because we no longer need it to hold the head end over the patient. Lay the rope across the patient's chest, and then one or two people can drag the stretcher over to a gurney or to an ambulance or whatever you're using for transport. We've attached a safe working load chart to the leg of the tripod, and if you notice, there are 4 columns. In the first column there are letters A through F. These are the hole positions that correspond with the letters on the outside of the lower leg. On the third column you'll see numbers 119 and down. That is the height of the tripod in inches. We're approximately 10 feet at 119 inches, and that proof load was 5,280 pounds. In the fourth column, we've taken 10% of the proof load for your safe working load, so you have a safe working load of 528 pounds. If you 528 pounds is the weakest position you'll find on this tripod. As you lower the tripod each time, you drop it 5 inches for each adjustment hole, and each time you gain at least 1,000 pounds. So each time 10% of that is taken for your safe working load. When you get down to 8 feet high at hole F, the proof load is 9,500 pounds, and you have a 950 pound safe working load. You can put 2 people on the tripod as long as you do not exceed the safe working load. Before you collapse the tripod, remove the Petzl ascender that has the rescue stirrup attached to it, and put it aside so that it doesn't get lost or damaged. And it may be more convenient to raise that lower pulley all the way up, and then when you lower the tripod it doesn't bang into anybody. So when you have 3 people, each person will take one leg. They'll move the legs inward, disconnect the chain, and pull it out from the holes in the feet. If you pull it slowly, then the links don't get crossed on the outside of the hole, and you don't struggle with it. Now you move the legs inward, pull the pin out of the hole, and each person will hold the upper leg so it can't fall. Once the pin is out, together you lower the tripod, move the legs inward, and that allows the tripod to come down all the way, and put the pin in at hole level L, which is the lowest level, and then secure the hairpin clip and disconnect the rescue hauler. At that time, lay the tripod down, be sure the pins in the legs are secure. Then you move the legs to the center where they're all together, and once again you turn the pointed end of the foot to where it's pointing upward towards the head of the tripod, and then you bring the legs together. And like I said before, if you put the retainer strap around the lower leg rather than the upper, and it's below that rubber O-ring, it'll never slide up on the tripod, because if it slides up on the tripod when you're trying to carry it, the legs spread and it makes it very difficult to carry. But by using this method, you'll never have a problem. Then the tripod can be carried away or placed in the bag and stored. Next thing we want to do is put the stretcher away. And if you follow this procedure when you're rolling it up, you'll never have any problem. First of all, lay the strap down on the ground with the inside of the buckle facing upward, and then lay the stretcher foot end over the strap. The two straps at the foot end, don't try to put those in as you're rolling it up. And notice the head end is curled up. I want to be sure that that is flat before you start rolling it, because the next time you use it, you won't be able to reverse roll the stretcher. So adjust those straps down to where the head end will lay flat on the ground. To roll a sked small enough to get it into the bag, it's easier with your bare hands because your hands have a little bit of moisture. It makes it easier to hold the sked. Roll it up as tight as you can get it. When you get a little bit of a roll started, put your knee on it, and your knee will keep it from coming open and getting bigger on you. And then use your knee to assist you in rolling it up. And then take each strap and place it between the flat part of the stretcher and a roll, and roll a stretcher right over the strap. That keeps the straps nice and flat and easy to use for the next time. So just keep on rolling. Do the same thing with each strap. When you get all the way to the foot end, put your knee on the stretcher and hold it there very firmly, and then you have both hands free to connect the retainer strap. Take the handle on the side where there are no buckles and shake it so the drag handle will come out of the other end where the buckles are. That's the last thing you want to put into the bag. If it gets down inside the bag first, then it prevents the stretcher from going all the way down in the bag. Then you tuck all of the straps into the stretcher except for the drag strap. Okay, at this point, we'll tuck all the handles in and we'll put the stretcher into the bag. After the stretcher's in the bag, then you tuck the drag handle down inside and close the bag. The next thing we want to do is put the rescue hauler away. The easiest way to do that is sit down on the ground and take the handles from the bag, one on each side, and put them one on each knee. This holds the bag open and it makes it very easy to stuff the rope down inside. And this is the only way you put the rope into the bag, because if you try to coil it into the bag, it's going to tangle the next time you take it out. This way it'll come out tangle free every time. After you get all the rope into the bag, then you place the rescue hauler on top of the rope and close the bag. Now if there's a pocket on the outside of the bag, you put the rescue hauler into the pocket. I like to keep everything together, so I'll put the rescue stirrup and the ascender together in the bag with the rescue hauler. That way the whole kit is complete. And just close the drawstring and the bag is ready to be stored. Stowing the chain is very simple. One person can hold the bag and another person can just drop the chain down into the bag. In the same method, we put the rope into the other bag. When all of the chain is in the bag, you take the screw link at the end, open it up, and put it around one part of the drawstring on the bag, and this way you can always find the end of the chain very quickly and very easily. And at that time, close the screw link and then drop the chain in the bag and secure the bag. That's it.